It is November 10th, 2009. I'm in the Caucasus Mountain apartment in Russia that I bought about 5 years ago. I've been listening to a radio program recorded from Roy Masters, and it talks about women, and something that I, in the last few years, have come into much deeper understanding as I see how Olga suffers and seems to even be against her own self-interest at times. But to go back, I was interested to learn that men's brains and women's brains were different. Men tend to be logically dominant in one hemisphere, the right hand connected to the left hemisphere, and that being logically dominant, and the left hand connected with the right hemisphere, and that being pattern dominant, nonverbal. That this difference exists in women and is one of the reasons that in certain assembly line tasks women tend to do much better than men. And historically in mathematics and logic, men have enjoyed it much more than women. We went through Moscow. The first thing they got was computer internet cafes or internet places where you could go. And all over Moscow, when I needed to send an email, we would look for one of these internet places. And what we would find every time was boys there playing games. Not girls, boys. Boys and girls are different. As a teacher and as a father of 3 and a grandfather of 13 and 4 stepchildren, I've seen just the natural difference, not because they were treated different, but because they're born different. Anyway, I've come to understand that the need for women to have control is historic, the way they have control, that women have historically been the victims of warfare, the prize to the winner. They have learned to submit to the dominator, but then get what they want out of it, to decide whether they want to keep a baby or not, if they want to love it or not, to all of these things. Of course, the mammalian care of early childhood is what either gives or takes away the ability to love. I like what Jesus said, that he needed to go, that he would send the Spirit of truth that would teach us all things. We need to study reality and learn. That's what he said, that the Spirit of truth would teach. And he said that the most important commandment was to love thy neighbor as thyself, and to love the source of existence with all your culture, with all your outlook, with all your mental strength. Of course, we need to heal from all the damage done to us to be able to do this, and it can be very difficult. But if an infant is deprived of the mammalian level lacto-tactile contact love in a bond with the suckling bond with the mother, and then as a human they lack the human father qualities of from 5 until adulthood to be protected and separated from the suffocating domination of the mother and manipulation of the mother, then they don't have the opportunity to grow. Again, understanding that historically, like Abraham moved from Ur of the Chaldees to the north, and they were worshiping all kinds of gods and planets, and they had been a wealthy nation with the Euphrates River and the ocean ports. They had affluence, and like with all affluence, the women would hire wet nurses, and the children would be deprived of that necessary bond to become fully mammalian human. And they were sacrificed. They didn't want their children, just like now. There are approximately 60 million babies murdered legally a year now through abortion. And in those days, what they did is invented gods and fires to sacrifice their babies to these gods, arms that they would roll down. You can read about the priests beating drums so that they wouldn't hear the baby cry as it went into the fire. But anyway, that's what Abraham was an archetype to make a more mammalian human culture, to move away from this corruption that affluence had brought. And where they knew about the stars and planets from the prehistoric sailors, they also knew that there was a point in the sky that everything rotated around and there was nothing there, an emblem of the Most High unseen God, to stop the worship of these idols and the sacrifice of children. And then Abraham was an archetype to show, replace the human sacrifice with an animal sacrifice, and something you can eat. Sacrifice a lamb. Very thankful for that. But to realize that women have no choice. They want a tribal society because they can manipulate the powers that be. Just like in the Catholic Church in Niagara Falls, New York, it's the Italian women, or the women that have the main involvement in the church, and the priest is their helper in dealing with things. Just like so many of the evangelical Christians, when I went on internet looking for a Christian wife, I found so many evangelicals, and I found two things. One, they were divorced. They had the support of the church and were divorced. The church preaches to the women. And two, if you ask them what they want, they believed in God, to pray for husbands, to pray for job, to pray for give me, give me, give me. They believed in a God that served them like they were having God as a servant. Anyway, that aside, women are the victims of God's nature. In God, in reality, the aggressive forces in human history have often caused rape and domination and taking women as a prize. And women have learned to live with this and get power by manipulation and intrigue. And that's the way nature, that is, God made them.